My Bible reading today was in 2 Kings 18 and 19. And those chapters talk about a very desperate situation for King Hezekiah of Judah, the southern kingdom. Now, during that time period, the Assyrian Empire was extremely powerful. They were the reigning empire of that day. And on this particular day that's talked about in chapters 18 and 19, they are just outside the walls of Jerusalem. And King Hezekiah and all of his citizens of Judah are on the inside. They know it's a desperate situation because they don't have an army that can match the Assyrian army that's just outside. Now, the army commander of Assyria walks up to the walls and for everyone to hear starts making an offer. Now, here's what he offers to people on the inside, as he knows he's got the most powerful army and he knows that the ones inside are very afraid. Here's what he offers. Don't listen to Hezekiah, for this is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and surrender to me. Then each of you may eat from his own vine and his own fig tree, and each may drink water from his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey, so that you may live and not die. But don't listen to Hezekiah when he misleads you, saying, the Lord will rescue us. Now, what this army commander is offering sounds really good. I mean, he's basically saying, if you stay inside, you're going to die. But if you come with me, if you just simply surrender, then life is going to be good. We're going to take you to our country, and our country is a place that has everything that's good. It's got all the good things to eat and the beautiful places for you to live. It will just simply be good for you. You will have everything you need in our country. Well, as good as that sounds, the reality is they would not be leaving Judah, the land that God had promised, as free people. They would be living in chains as slaves. And when they get to the Assyrian Empire lands, when they get there, they're going to continue to be slaves. They're not going to have freedom, and it's not going to be as good as this army commander is saying. It's going to be a very difficult, discouraging type of life because they're going to be slaves in a foreign land with no freedom and having to do anything that their captors tell them to do. That is so much how temptation is. Temptation to sin, to do wrong things, always looks good. I mean, that's why it's temptation, right? Something is tempting because it's going to do something good for me. It's going to be pleasurable, or it's going to give me money, it's going to give me power, it's going to give me recognition, it's going to do something good for me. That's why we're tempted to do it. But just like those people being taken away by Assyria, if they had done that, then they would have been slaves to the Assyrian Empire. And that's exactly what happens to us when we give in to sin, when we give in to the temptation to do things that God says we shouldn't do. In fact, Jesus said the same thing that I was just saying, that sin basically makes us slaves. In John 8:34, listen to what Jesus said. Jesus responded, "Truly I tell you, everyone who commits sin is a slave of sin." And we don't think that's going to happen. We think, well, it's going to be different for me. I can do this one time and it's not a problem. Or sometimes we're just simply so careless that we do these things without realizing how bad it is. But the fact of the matter is that when we give in to sin and we let that continue to happen in our life, that begins to dominate, that begins to control. And in fact, if we do something wrong here in one part of our life, quite often it means that we have to do something in another part of our life to cover it up, and it just seems to spiral out of control. But it looked so good at the time. And that just reminds us that it is hard sometimes to choose between right and wrong. That is just how life is. The options, the choices are not always clear. And if that is the reality, then it is just that much more reminder we need God's wisdom to make good choices. And there's a verse out of Proverbs that I have mentioned before, and I'm sure many of you have heard it many times over, but this is such a good message to us that it is one of those passages we should go back to over and over and over. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Now, I want to read it out of the New Living Translation Bible because it just helps bring it to life a little bit differently. Think about this. Here's what it says. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. And I like that last phrase. He will show you which path to take. And that's the truth. That's the promise, in fact, that God says when I focus on Him, when I seek Him, and I am doing my best to be obedient to the things He's teaching me, and I'm putting out some effort to learn to make wise choices according to His truth as it is in the Bible, then God is going to work with me. He's going to help me consistently make good decisions. Now, does that mean I'm going to always make a perfect right decision? No, because I'm still a fallible human being that can make mistakes. And does it mean that if I truly and faithfully and obediently follow God that I'll never face any problems? No, that's not true either. We will face hard times in life, but this promise means that when I am consistently being obedient, being submissive to God, seeking God, and doing what I can to learn His truth, and I'm asking Him for wisdom, He will consistently help me make better choices. And through that, my life will be better and the lives of the people around me will be better, because what I do with my life, even when I think it will have no impact on anyone else, my life impacts other people too. And so to make wise choices is really important. Not to give in to the temptation that looks so good, but to learn the difference between right and wrong. So let's just summarize very quickly some truths that we should remember today. One, temptation is powerful because it looks good. I mean, that's just really simple, right? It looks like it's going to do something good for me. That's why it's called temptation. It's tempting. And it can be really hard to tell the difference between right and wrong. Because of that, I need God's wisdom. But God will help us choose wisely when we seek Him. Thank you so much for being with me today.